The morning rain had just stopped when Michael sprinted down the old brick street, clutching a paper bag from the grocery store and praying he wasn't too late again. The air smelled of wet leaves and roasted coffee, and somewhere ahead, his 6-year-old son Ethan was supposed to be waiting at the corner cafe, the same one they passed every morning after school drop-off. But this time, when Michael turned the corner, his heart froze. Ethan wasn't just waiting. He was standing in front of a woman sitting alone at a table, staring up at her with those wide, pleading eyes that only a child could have. Before Michael could call out, he heard the words that would change everything. "Miss, could you be my mommy, just for one day?" If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love that heals even the deepest wounds, then take a moment right now to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Michael felt the world tilt for a second. He rushed forward, mortified, as the woman in the elegant white trench coat turned her gaze from the boy to him. Calm, unreadable, and yet strangely curious. "Ethan," he said, his voice catching. "Buddy, I told you not to bother people." The boy lowered his head, his small shoulders drooping. "I wasn't bothering," he whispered. "I just thought maybe she could help." Michael crouched beside him, his breath coming hard. "Help with what, son?" Ethan's blue eyes glistened. "With being mommy for a day. You said she's in heaven now, but maybe this lady could pretend, just for one day." The woman didn't move. She simply watched them, this disheveled man in a worn hoodie, his grocery bag leaking slightly at the bottom, and the boy with mismatched socks and a heart too big for his little body. Then, quietly, she said, "Would you two like to sit down?" Her name was Claire Dalton, though Michael didn't know that yet. To him, she was just a stranger, refined, graceful, the kind of woman who looked like she belonged in magazines, not in small-town coffee shops. But she insisted they sit. She ordered hot chocolate for Ethan and another coffee for herself, and for 10 awkward minutes, the three of them sat there as leaves fluttered down around the cafe patio. Michael apologized again and again, explaining how things had been hard since his wife passed away 2 years ago, how Ethan still had trouble understanding why mommy never came home, how he worked 2 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. Claire listened, her expression softening. She didn't ask questions, didn't judge. When Ethan asked if she liked kids, she smiled faintly and said, "I like honesty." That short encounter might have ended there, just a kind stranger humoring a tired father and his lonely child. But fate had other plans. The next morning, when Michael brought Ethan to the small school around the corner, Claire's car, sleek, black, and far too expensive for their neighborhood, was parked out front. She was talking to the principal. Later that day, Michael learned she had anonymously paid for Ethan's school lunch program for the year at IT. First, he was angry, embarrassed. He found her again at the cafe the next weekend, demanding to know why she'd done it. She simply looked at him, stirring her tea slowly, and said, "Because your son reminded me what hope looks like." Over time, their paths kept crossing. Claire started joining them at the cafe on Saturday mornings. Ethan adored her, the way she listened when he talked about dinosaurs, how she remembered his favorite marshmallow flavor, how she never treated him like a burden. Michael, on the other hand, kept his guard up. He'd seen too many people walk away when life got complicated. He didn't need anyone's pity, but the truth was, there was something about Claire he couldn't ignore. Beneath her calm exterior, there was a loneliness that matched his own, a kind of ache behind her eyes that no wealth could hide. That it wasn't until months later that Michael learned who she really was. He was at the hardware store when a neighbor rushed in with the local paper, pointing to the front page. "That lady you've been seen with. She's the new CEO of Dalton Enterprises. Billionaire, owns half the tech firms in the state." Michael felt like the ground had been ripped out from under him. That night, when Claire met them for dinner at their favorite diner, he couldn't even look at her. "You should have told me," he finally said, his voice low. "You let me think you were just like us." She met his eyes. "I am like you, Michael. Money doesn't change grief." She told him then about her own losses, how her fiancé had died in an accident 5 years ago, how she'd buried herself and worked to escape the pain, how she'd forgotten what it felt like to be needed. "Your son reminded me," she said softly. "He reminded me that love doesn't ask for anything but presence." After that night, something shifted between them. Claire began visiting their small apartment, cooking with Ethan, helping him with homework. She never flaunted her wealth. Instead, she listened, she laughed, she became a piece of the little world they'd built. And yet, Michael couldn't let himself believe it was real. One cold December evening, Ethan fell ill. It started as a fever, but quickly turned serious. The local clinic couldn't handle it, and Michael's insurance had long expired. He sat in the emergency room, his hands trembling, while doctors rushed around. And then Claire appeared, calm, composed, still wearing her office blazer. Without a word, she handed her card to the nurse and said, "Whatever it takes, he gets it." For 2 days, Ethan lay in that hospital bed, fighting pneumonia. Claire never left his side. She read to him, held his hand, and when he finally opened his eyes, the first word he whispered was "Mommy." Michael turned away, tears burning his eyes. Later, when Ethan slept, he whispered, "You don't have to keep doing this. You don't owe us anything." Claire smiled, but her eyes shimmered. "I know," she said, "but maybe I need this as much as you do." After Ethan recovered, Christmas came quietly. They celebrated at Michael's tiny apartment, the three of them around a secondhand tree with paper ornaments. Claire had brought a single gift, a photo frame with a picture of the three of them taken at the café months earlier. "For when you forget how strong you are," she said. Michael looked at her then, really looked. Not at the CEO or the woman from another world, but at the person who had quietly stitched herself into the broken fabric of their lives. And in that moment, he realized that love didn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it showed up as a gentle voice saying, "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." Months later, on a bright spring morning, Claire joined them again at the cafe where it all began. Ethan bounced in his chair, excitedly retelling a story from school. When he paused to sip his hot chocolate, he looked up and said, "Daddy, can Miss Claire be mommy forever now?" The world went still. Claire froze, eyes wide. Michael's heart thudded. And then, for the first time in years, he smiled. Not the tired smile of a man surviving, but one of pure, unguarded joy. He reached for her hand. "Maybe it's time," he said softly. "We stopped pretending." That summer, under a canopy of twinkling lights in the same cafe garden, they held a small wedding. No reporters, no headlines, no corporate glamour. Just laughter, tears, and a little boy beaming between them. When the vows were spoken, Ethan tugged on Claire's dress and whispered, "You were the best pretend mommy ever. Now you're my real one." She knelt down, holding him close, her tears falling onto his hair. "No, sweetheart," she said. "You made me real." Love didn't erase their pain, but it gave it meaning. Claire found a family she'd thought she'd lost forever. Michael found hope in a world that had once felt cruel. And Ethan, the little boy who just wanted a mommy for a day, ended up teaching them both what forever really meant. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in the magic of second chances, and subscribe for more stories that remind us how love can heal the deepest wounds. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what moment in this story moved you the most? Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can change not just a day, but an entire life.